Richard here, and in this video I'm going to share with you how to remove toxic people from your life. This is going to be with your friends, it could be with a family member, or maybe you have a whole family of toxic people. It could be with your peers, it could be with relatively anyone. But just know, what I'm going to share with you in this video is how to mold your internal state, how to reestablish yourself so that you don't attract toxic people. And if you have toxic people in your life, they're going to either vanish or they're going to be converted into positive people. Before I get into it, if you want to get access to my free ebook, I put the link in the description for you. So you can click this link to get instant access to this book for completely free. But without further ado, let's dive into it. So number one, and what I found to really be useful for me, was when I naturally became more clear about myself and what I wanted for my life. You'll find that when we're young, we're unclear about everything. We're so unconscious and we're absorbing everything that's around us that if we encounter something that's unwanted, we immediately latch onto it and we readily accept it. It's the same thing with beliefs. We're programmed from an early age, by society, our parents, our friends, our peers, our teachers. We're programmed by everything around us, and that molds your identity. And the same thing applies with toxic people. It's because of this vague vibration, this unclear identity that you have, that you attract all sorts of things into your life, including people. So it's only natural. When you're not clear about yourself and what you want, and you're not clear about who you are, you're not establishing what kind of people that you want to bring into your life, or what interactions you want to have with the people you already have in your life. So when you're not clear about yourself and you don't establish who you want to be, then you're never going to attract the people that you want to attract into your life. So it's kind of like if you entertain toxic people, if you don't like them, if you don't want them in your life, but you still find yourself entertaining and, sort of adding fuel to the fire, then they're going to remain in your life. And if you want to attract more positive people, who is it that you need to become? When you get clear on that, then your reality, it will match who you are. You'll be met with a delay period though. So whenever you make an intention to achieve a goal, you're going to be hit with these tests. So tests are different for everyone, and they could be in the form of unexpected delays or challenges and maybe internal conflict. So it could vary for everyone, but I made a video that goes deeper into how to speed up these tests. I'll link it up here so you can watch it. But when you're not clear about who it is that you are, just know you're going to attract all sorts of things. It's not specified, it's vague. So if you're someone who's just learned about the law of attraction and manifesting, just know, if you have toxic people in your life, you've never necessarily established who you are. So this is good. Now that you know that you don't want those people in your life, establish who it is that you want to become to attract more positive people into your life. If you have an unclear energy, then you're naturally going to attract toxic people. And not just toxic people, but just all kinds of people. It's not going to be specific. And think, would that ideal self entertain toxicity? I mean, if you're entertaining all that drama with, toxic people in your life, even if it's a family member, then it's going to remain in your life, because energy loves attention. And if you focus on a particular aspect of your life and you feed it, you give it substance, you put a lot of importance towards that, then it's going to persist. It's going to get bigger in your own perception. But when you get clear on what you want in life, not just who it is that you need to become, but what you actually want, then you have no reason to entertain toxicity. Naturally, you're going to have better interactions with people because you know who you are. And you're going to attract more positive people into your life and less toxic people. You're going to have better interactions with other people. So you will find that it's either those toxic people just vanish or they're converted into someone who's pleasant to be around. Number 2 is to accept the toxic presence. So this is very counterintuitive. I'm not saying to not create boundaries. I just want to make that clear. But by accept, I'm referring to intent-wise. So what do I mean by that? When you try to avoid a toxic person, you'll find that they'll always pop up out of nowhere. Like, what drives those actions? When you try to avoid something, it always manages to catch you. It always chases you, no matter what you do. And the same principle applies to toxic people. So one thing I've realized is that there'll always be toxic people in the world. There'll always be both positive and toxic people in the world. But when you can accept the presence of a toxic person, they have no choice but to be converted into a more positive individual or to just vanish out of your life, out of nowhere. It just can't be explained with logic. But think, what you're experiencing now, right now, is a result of your internal state. Because now you're conscious about this stuff. You're not living unconsciously, and you're not unconsciously accepting everything that comes your way. You're a conscious creator now. So right now, what you're experiencing is a result of your internal world. When you could accept their presence, when you stop feeding into that toxicity, it has no choice but to disappear. Whether it happens weeks from now or months from now, and when you're naturally clear, again, about, tip number 1, getting clarity about your life, you're not going to have a reason to interact with them. You're going to find that you'll interact with them less and less, even if they're your parents. It just won't make sense. The more you try to avoid a negative interaction, is the more likely that you'll have a negative interaction. When you could just accept it for what it is, even if it does happen, it has no choice but to dissolve into nothingness because you're not feeding it. You're indifferent about the interaction anyways. If it goes south, cool. If it dissolves, that's fine as well. And remember, if you stop feeding it, if you stop giving it so much attention, if you stop giving it so much importance, then it has no choice but to leave your life. Or, again, they'll become the best person to be around. If you take action with avoidance, you're going to manifest more toxicity into your life because your intent is to avoid the toxicity rather than to move towards the positivity. You see how that works? It's not about the words or the thoughts or the actions that you take, but it's about the fuel, the intent that's driving the action. So ask yourself, what is driving you? What intent is driving you right now? Is it the intent to avoid, or is it to simply create healthy boundaries? You don't need to have those people in your life 24/7. You can still create healthy boundaries. So ask yourself, is it to simply create healthy space, healthy physical space, or create time space, or is it to avoid? I don't want this around me. I don't like this. I'm biased. I don't want this around me. I want only positivity around me. When you're so biased towards having positive and negative people around you, then you're more likely to experience what you think is to be a negative interaction. So I hope that helped. Remember, the fuel that's driving you is very, very important because that's really what matters. If your intent is to avoid, oh my God, I don't want this person around me, they annoy me, they make me feel like crap, I don't want them around me, then what are you saying to the universe? I want them around me. I'm giving them attention. They're important. I'm placing importance on them. Give me more of this person. Allow them to be in my life more. And then the universe goes, oh, you want them in your life more? Okay. Have more of this person. And so you start to interact more with this person in a way which you wouldn't like, because that's what you're trying to avoid. So when you can accept it, you'll find that even with those toxic people, you're going to have better interactions with those people, because now your intent isn't to avoid them. You see how that works? Number 3, which is something that I never really go into in this channel, but I think you'll find this helpful, is daily self-concept. So actually use those techniques, those affirmations, those subliminals, those scripting. Use the techniques at your disposal, because when you consistently affirm who it is that you are, then you're consistently re-clarifying your being, or who you are and who you operate as. This is more of a starting point though. It's important to at least establish who it is that you are, especially when you're first starting out and you have these negative beliefs about yourself and people, and you may perceive yourself as maybe an emotional tampon or a sandbag to be punched, because always remember, what you're experiencing in your life right now is a result of your internal world. I don't believe that when you first come into this world that you're just creating everything, because you're not even conscious. You're like a sponge. You're absorbing everything that's around you. And there comes a point where you start unconsciously creating, because now you're just accepting all of this toxic, unwanted baggage, and you're just creating more and more and more of it. But to actually manifest toxic people out of your life, it's an internal thing. It's not as much of a doing matter as you would think. One thing that you should know is that if you use all these techniques, and when you feel negative, if you try to do those techniques, it's only going to make it worse. So, only do it when you feel good, or if you feel neutral, but not negative. Because if you feel negative and you do it, you're going to suppress those negative emotions. If you want to learn how to stay in the state of the wish fulfilled, I'll also link that video up there so you can check it out. You have to start somewhere. You have to use those techniques as a starting point to reprogram your subconscious and to get clear on your life. I hope you found this video helpful. Let's recap the main points though. So number 1 is to gain clarity around yourself and your life, which is a very gradual thing. It's not like you just whip out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and you just ask yourself, oh, well, what do I want out of life? And you just write all those things and now you magically have full clarity about your life. It's not like that. It's a gradual thing. So when you get clear, at least in a general sense, who it is that you need to become to live the dream life that most people refer to. Maybe you're financially free and you have your dream partner and your dream body, whatever it may be. Take that and just ask yourself, okay, well, if I'm to at least live what I think I want to live, who is it that I need to become? And you'll find that, oh, well, I can't tolerate toxicity anymore. I can't allow other people to consume my time and my energy. And then you'll begin to take different actions. So, what's very important is the actions that you take, whether you're congruent with your beingness and who you are. So your actions must follow suit. If you want to attract more positive people, then you can't just tolerate all that negative shit. Okay? If you want to attract positive people into your life, you cannot tolerate toxic interactions. You need to put your foot down. Even if it's your parents, you have to put your foot down, because if you keep tolerating what you don't want, you're just going to manifest more of it. So it's important to put your foot down. Oh my God, but what if they say something? They will say something. They may say something. It could very well happen. But are you going to keep tolerating it? Are you going to live a life that you don't want to live? If we're here for a limited time, you shouldn't be playing around with toxic people. Number 2 is to accept the presence of toxic people. Understand that your intent is the fuel that drives you. So let's say you're trying to avoid someone. If you're trying to avoid a toxic person, maybe it's a family member, or it's a friend, or a peer. Maybe it's even a coworker, or maybe even your boss. If you try to avoid those people, and what I mean is, again, the fuel that's driving you. There's nothing wrong with creating space from other people, but again, if it's the fear to encounter that person, if it's like this repulsion, like, oh my God, I don't want this person around me, then you're gonna find that they're always gonna be around you because you're so biased in that way. You just don't want them around you. But when you can accept that presence, that they're there, then you release the resistance that you had towards trying to manifest this person out of your life. So when you release this resistance, they'll just magically disappear, or they'll become very pleasant to be around. And that's the very convenient thing about it. It's like when you could just accept it, you don't even care about whether they stay or whether they disappear. And that's really what you want. It's not really to manifest a toxic person out of your life. It's to really achieve true acceptance that they're there and you could just let them be. Number 3 is daily self-concept. So using affirmations, scripting, journaling, visualizing, really any technique that you can use. The techniques are a great starting point for affirming who it is that you are and getting clear about who it is that you need to become and what you want in your life. So it's very good for reprogramming your subconscious. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you'll be notified of any new video that I put out. And be sure to share this video so someone else can help and benefit from it. Without further ado, see you in the next video. Peace.